Me, here. Dave.
Here.
Mr. Stearns. Was he supposed to be here?
As far as I know. But
Okay. Mike Owens.
Here.
Donna.
Present.
That's it. That's
Thank you.
mostly accounted for.
Okay, do we approve the previous meeting in minutes? Has everybody read them?
I read them, and yes, I make a motion that we approve last meeting's minutes.
I'll second. This is Chris.
Everybody?
Turn this off.
Okay. Just
Probably somebody
say
wanted
everybody in
money
favor.
anyway.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
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 any opposed?
Any opposed?
Then just
Okay,
pass this on.
okay, so there's no amendments. Are there any amendments and
Okay. Then
amendments to the, okay,
Yeah, then you just do for.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Okay, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second it, Mike.
everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any,
Aye.
anybody opposed? Okay, so now we're going to move on to public hearings, correct? Public hearing for the request from Deb Shirk? Shirk, for a variance for the rear yard setback required for parcel 01-003-242, located at 107 Philipin Lane. Everybody, there's an attachment for it. Do we do any comments now, or what do we do? with
Yeah,
that?
and then just,
Is there any,
then just ask Bev if she'd like to.
is there anything you would like to speak about it, Beth?
I just was here to answer any questions if you had any about what I'm asking.
Anybody have any questions?
We didn't receive any written comments that I know of, so.
So no comments
No
one way or
comments
the
from
other?
the
Okay.
Because it was very clearly well done.
Mike.
One question. Bev, have you heard anything from your neighbors, and no problems with any of your neighbors that said anything?
At all, in regard to it one way or the other.
Yeah. Thank you.
Madam Chair. Have you talked to any of your neighbors about it?
I've talked to Doug Ford.
Right. And he's the one that you,
He's the one that
Exactly.
will hopefully be doing, the work for me.
oh, okay.
And I haven't specifically gone over and talked to the neighbors next to me, but it's as far away from their house as possible, so it doesn't affect them at all.
Okay.
Their Coast Guard housing, there was nobody in the houses next to my lot at the present time.
Okay. Ask Chris if he's got any questions.
Chris, do you have any questions?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay, do we have we don't have, so we just go to the next one? 'Cause
Yeah, then we do
don't-
that. Then we have to do the next
Oh.
public hearing for Ron Hall, and then we'll actually discuss and vote on them later on in the agenda.
I keep holding my
You
hand.
make a motion to close the public hearing on this.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a motion that the public hearing be closed.
I'll second it. This is Mike.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, moving on to the public hearing request from Ron Hall for the variance for the front yard setback and maximum lot coverage requirement on parcel 01-006-807 located at 13 North 6th Street. Any comments from you, Ron? Any questions from anybody? Chris, do you have any questions?
Nope, I think it looks good. I went out and looked at it before I left town, so.
We haven't received any written comments.
Nothing? No?
Madam Chair, I like the one comment. One of our nearest neighbors just stated that he does miss a crane of two roosters every day.
Well, We did come in last month. We thought that was fun.
Yeah.
So now you're obviously except the neighbor that's disappointed you're gonna have roosters now. Is there anybody have any heartburn with?
I've had people as far away as this area of town, way out of the 500, what is it, 500 yards or whatever the circumference that they send
Right.
letters out to. That, we'll write a letter, well, you're not really in the.
Okay. I took a look at it and if his neighbors are okay with it, it's within the scope of what we can do for a variance except for I guess,
We can talk about it, I think.
later.
Yeah.
No, we can talk about it later on,
Okay.
correct?
Right.
Yeah, because I had a comment about it, because I told him personally that I did watch when it was raining really hard, because the roof is slanted towards the house, and the rain gutter overdoes and goes to the house. And I was quite concerned about water not being diverted correctly. But, okay, so we have to have a motion.
Yep. I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second this, Mike.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, any visitors' views related to the agenda items? Any visitors unrelated to the agenda items? Any reports from the staff members?
I think you had one in your packet, and there actually should have been another one, but for the Ron Hall application, but for some reason it got left out, but we could talk about it when we get to that item. And also I wanted to let you know that there's been an appeal filed on your conditional use permit on 107 Arness, and that the assembly is going to meet on March 16th at 7 p.m. as the Board of Appeals to consider that appeal. So,
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Chris, are you going to go to that meeting?
When is it?
March
16th.
16th?
A week from Monday.
March 16th, I won't be in town. I'll be in town on the 17th.
It would be nice if someone from the Planning Commission was there to represent. I've got a memo addressing all of the appeal items in draft form that's been sent to the attorney, and I'll send it all to you guys after she looks at it, but it would be
So
nice.
that'd be the 16th of March at
7 o'clock
PM.
19.
p.m. Yes, thank you.
Madam Chair. So if the assembly grants the appeal, then we're done, right? If they-
Yes.
Okay.
They could always, I suppose, send it back to you, but I imagine that they would either grant or change it or support it, support your decision, overturn your decision.
So that's before the whole borough assembly?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct, Chris.
Okay.
They're acting as the Board of Appeals, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on the ferry out of Prince Rupert at that time, so.
So if they overturn it, it doesn't have to come back to us again, correct? They only have one time to do that?
I believe so, yeah. They do have a little bit of time after the hearing to make the decision, so I suppose it's possible that they could have the hearing and then postpone to make the decision, but I would not, that would be
I wouldn't.
unlikely, I think.
I'm leaving town then too. Are you going to be around, Nona? Or is anybody?
I will be,
You want to go?
what night of the week is it? Monday?
Monday night.
Monday night, regular assembly meeting.
Yes, I can make it. I just realized that, okay.
So Chris, would you catch that notice and go?
Okay. That'd be good.
Then you said you were going to do something, you were going to present some information on Ron Hall's.
Yes, and
And do you have that?
I do. I only have one
Right
copy,
before we move on.
but we can talk about it.
Okay, right.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to, on the, Chris, is there anything that you, would on the 16th, on that meeting, that you would like me to present or clarify?
I think that just, clarify the fact that we put limitations on the outside storage, we put limitations on the size of the net jet, we required screening. Basically that's what we did, that we came up, we felt was a reasonable solution that fits in with what's been done in the past in Petersburg. So.
Okay. Anybody else have anything that they would like to make sure that's presented? Okay. Thank you. I just wanted. Okay. Any unfinished business?
Yes, we have the two items before you as unfinished business. Consideration of the request from DevSerx being the first one.
Okay. Don't we have a form that we have to go through,
Yes.
the three-question thing?
And
Finding of
I didn't
fact.
get that.
Right.
if I may,
Go ahead.
actually streamlined, hopefully, the process for you a little bit and put in the staff report here, if you look at it, it actually has the findings of fact included in it.
I saw that.
So you can just amend those as you want, but then we could just, we already have the facts and then the determination based on those facts spelled out here. And perhaps without having to go through the group writing exercise that that everyone
Okay.
seems to struggle with,
Okay.
that anyone would struggle with, really.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it. So we need to go through that, correct?
But I think you need a motion to take it up and then could go from
Yeah.
there.
I make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for DevSerx for a variance from the rear yard setback requirements for parcel 01-003-242, located at 107 Philbin Lane.
I'll second it, it's Mike.
Everybody in favor?
Wait, now you have the discussion.
Yeah,
No, we have to, okay, go ahead.
yeah, then you say then you open up.
Okay, open discussion. I was thinking of something else. Any discussion? We have to go through each one of these three items, correct?
Mhm.
Is there any discussion? Because it's very well, you did very well, Liz.
Thank you.
I just,
No, it looks very straightforward to me.
yeah.
Very
Just put
straightforward.
it on the record if you want to,
What's that? That you did a good job?
No. You can put that on the record, but, no, the part about,
This simplified it.
yeah, that, just basically what it says, that the request is consistent with the stated purpose, that, there are exceptional physical circumstances, just sort of go through the motions of putting that all on the record, and then you could vote on it.
Right.
You could vote on it.
The recommendations from, I think it was, so do we have to go through the request of consistency? Okay. The request is consistent with stated purpose of the variance permit. Do we all agree with that? Is that what we have to do?
Yes,
Shouldn't,
I agree.
we want this on the record as well, right? A reason on the record as well.
It's a reason, yeah.
Yes, so we have to also,
You don't have to read it out loud, but just,
Yeah, we just have, basically what you're saying is by streamlining this process, we can just approve what you have.
Do you want us to read this here for a record for the sake of?
you don't have to read it like word for word, but if you get if you agree, you get the general
I'm going
idea.
to let you generalize it. You're really
Okay.
good at generalizing.
So that you get on the record the reasons that you're approving
Okay.
it.
Okay, got it. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Assuming you all agree with what the
Yes.
reasons are.
yes.
Yes.
Based on the findings of fact, basically, this parcel has special needs, and the variance is there to make it so she can construct her dwelling on it. And the next thing is, the circumstances are applicable to property, which do not apply to the other properties in the same zone. And basically, this parcel was poorly designed in the first place, the layout of it, and a previous variance was already granted for the property. And at that time, Commission noted the poor layout and felt planning and zoning caused the problem by accepting the subdivision as platted. So one of our previous boards did a bad job.
Number 3?
Okay, and then that granting the variance will not result in material damage or hardship to other properties. And as well, we received no letters, correspondence from Bev to her adjacent property owners. There'll be nothing that will affect public health, safety, or welfare in granting this variance.
I just had one quick question. Is the lot 12 that's on the side where the setback's being reduced, is that a residential zone lot?
It is residential zone.
Okay. Yeah, then I don't see it as a problem because there's still enough setback to meet fire requirements. So I don't see it as a problem.
Okay, now, weren't we supposed to vote on each one of these as we went through the process?
That's how you've
Yeah.
done it in the past, yes.
It's just you've simplified it so much for us that,
We just kind of skipped over them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go over number 1.
Okay.
I think it's actually just 2 and 3 that you have to vote on. One is just, I believe so.
Because in the
Yeah,
past, we had
this
to vote
first
3,
one's-
so.
Yeah, it's just 1. And then 2 and 3 are kind of combined in that last, there's actually 3, you're right, I'm sorry, but that
So we
should
should-
combine them.
Okay, I'll start with number 1.
No,
And page. Okay, the request is consistent with the stated purpose of a variance permit.
Aye.
Okay, ask-
I would agree.
okay, is there any opposition?
Is there any opposition? Is everybody in agreement? Should we vote and give our names on this here? Isn't that what that you wanted to make sure we did? So why don't we each give our names and vote our,
Or
Chris?
can you do
Chris in favor of the variance.
How about no
Do a roll call
opposition?
vote so that they can all just say yay.
yeah, just, she told me the other day to make sure we said our name and then, so I was just.
Hey, Mike Banks, I agree. I think we should,
Jim, aye.
Donna, yes,
Dave, aye.
Chris already said aye.
right, okay.
Yeah.
So number 1 passes.
Okay, so 2 and 3 we're going to combine, or do you want to make it?
Yeah, 2 is this, that the strict application of the provision would result in practical difficulties or unnecessary pecuniary hardships. I think if you didn't grant it, obviously she wouldn't be able to build the
Correct.
carport, so.
So we can vote on that now. Chris,
I'm in favor.
say your name, please.
David, aye.
Donna, yes.
Jim, aye.
Mike, yes.
Everyone's in favor. So,
And then number 3, the granting of the variance will not result in material damage or hardship or prejudice of the properties in the vicinity, nor be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare.
Let me just say your names, and that way you can,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Chris, aye. I'm in favor.
Mike,
Aye.
Jonah,
yes,
Jim.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you. So it has passed, is that correct?
Then you vote on it one more time as a whole,
Yes.
for whatever reason.
Grant it back.
Call done.
Chris,
Chris, aye.
Dave, aye.
Oh, good.
Mike,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Donna, yes. Thank you, Liz.
Yeah, I'm sorry to make it, I'm gonna actually run it by, I'm gonna run it by the attorney and see if we actually have to do that every single time.
Well, it's,
Since it's written down here,
this is very simple, it's very,
maybe we could just do it once.
that would be nice,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
simplify it.
right.
It's a learning curve for everybody.
It is.
Changing.
It just seems
Okay, now let's, so Bev doesn't have to stay any longer, correct?
Right.
Thank you, Bev. Thanks for bearing with us. Okay, other unfinished business is Ron Hall's variance for his front back set maximum lot coverage, parcel 10-006-807, located at 13 North 6th Street. And you put that in here the same way, is that correct?
Next last page here.
No, I didn't get that page.
Okay, Jim, you get to read the first one.
Oh, do I?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
signing it.
Do I need the preceding, or can we go right to the, based on the preceding?
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, excuse me.
Okay.
I just wanted to explain a little bit. Did everybody get that? Because it wasn't in my packet.
I didn't get that one.
It's on my name.
What's this?
Huh?
We got it. I got it on mine.
Okay. I didn't get my packet.
I didn't get
I read it
I didn't-
online, but.
I didn't get the last, that page is skipped.
Okay, I
The
didn't
last
get it
two.
either when I got my packet, so.
Yeah, it wasn't mine either.
Okay, I don't know what I didn't get, but I've got one.
You got it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
See, mine goes right from hers to this, and then
All
I'm
right.
done.
yeah.
Well, just listen carefully now.
I don't know what
No,
I
it's
think.
fine. I just.
So,
Mine does.
using the variance ordinance, when Joe and I looked at the application, even though we're pro-chicken and pro-chicken coop, we couldn't find anything that was different about this particular parcel. There are no exceptional physical circumstances. It's a double lot in Old Town, and it's the same size and configuration as all the other lots around it. We didn't think there would be any negative impacts to other properties in the vicinity. That chicken coop's been there for a long time, but no one's complained. But we couldn't really figure out how the situation met the exceptional physical circumstances requirement in the code. So, given that, we couldn't really find a way to put the square peg in the round hole in this one. But otherwise, we don't see a problem at all with supporting the variance.
No, I think the exceptional circumstance would be that it's been there for a long time. I mean,
I would agree with that.
if he was proposing, my feeling is if it was a new, like if he was coming to us right now and asking for a variance so he could build a chicken coop on his property line, probably would say no, but.
How many years has it been there?
Yeah.
How many years has it been there?
Ron, how long is it?
I started building it last winter.
So it's less than a year old?
No, it's a little over a year. Actually, about a year and a half.
Okay.
Oh, that blows up, Larry, sorry.
Okay, that's why.
Well,
There's no other place.
There's no way back by the
Because-
greenhouse to put it up there?
I'm already, and there's no place to put it because of the two-sided street with a 20-foot setback. It just eats up the whole yard between the two of them. And looking at that part, I think that's something that really should be addressed because it's an unfair hardship, you want to say that. There's basically a large section of my property that I can't use for anything.
He's on a corner lot, and so it has two front yards. Liz speaking. So it has 20-foot setbacks on those two front, where the
Is that road stop
is.
sign?
Does 20 feet, the setback, take it all the way up to the house?
I think it does, yeah.
Or is that setback somewhere in the middle of that chicken run?
No, it's
No.
the house. That's where it was built, on that corner.
Okay, so it's right up to the house on both sides.
Right.
Liz,
Yes?
what does, you know, how the road goes there and the potential of a stop sign, what is the requirement for a stop sign? That's what my biggest thing for visibility
I'm not aware of any requirement for a
There's no stop sign on the.
It's
No,
just,
if they
our side.
wanted to put one, that's what I'm just.
oh, as long as it's in the right of way, you know.
no disability.
It-
But
But I think that chicken run's low enough that it doesn't really block the view around that corner, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it's not like it's out on the street blocking a car, being able to see around the corner or anything like
But
that.
the word, it's
Yeah.
mobile, that's the only thing I'm
That
concerned.
it would move it out to the edge.
Correct, that's the only thing that I'm worried about is if it's mobile, it can't go within a certain, of the corner and make it a blind corner is what go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Mike.
doesn't the fact that it's mobile make it like more of an exemption as far as if you can move it around, then it shouldn't be an issue in my mind that,
that's what I understood, that if it's not foundation,
yeah.
it's a little different.
The coop itself is mobile, the run itself is not. Is that what I'm understanding? I think that's what Joe said last time I talked to him.
Yeah, I didn't put it under it, but that wouldn't be a big issue.
That's a public garden.
And I would say we looked for some mobile exemption for a structure, and there isn't anything in the code that you can hang your hat on, as it were.
But I gotta say, Jim here, I mean,
Is there something under temporary structure, Liz?
well, this is where I'm going. This is not a structure that the code applies to.
Well, I'll tell you what a structure is, and you can
Okay.
make that determination.
All right,
If
I'd
you
love to hear
don't-
that.
If you think it's a
Isn't there-
non-issue.
Wasn't there a 6-month thing? For the rock?
Structure means composition of two or more components of building material joined together in some manner that each adds strength or rigidity to the other in the final assembly. For the purpose of construing this title, it should include not by way of limitation, buildings. And then if you go back to where buildings are,
Like we put a screw in a board, for that definition.
building is any structure built for the shelter or enclosure of persons, animals, or property of any kind.
But isn't there a minimum, maximum before you have to get a building permit and stuff like that?
Yeah,
There is, but you still have
That's
to
100
adhere to the
Correct.
setback.
Could I ask a question?
Identify yourself, please.
Yeah.
Nancy Strand,
Thank you.
I'm just in the audience. I don't understand why there's two fronts, why one isn't a side setback.
Because it's a
If
corner
the
lot.
address is 10 something, or 13 South Si or North Sixth, you'd think that the side facing your street would be a side setback.
That's not the way the code defines it. If there's two roads, then you have two front yards.
Which is why I said it's kind of an unfair
Absolutely.
hardship, shall we say.
Madam Chair, can I ask?
Yes, Dave?
Yes, okay, so we don't want the variance, so, because it doesn't meet the requirements for variance, so then we don't really care. You guys don't really care, the borough doesn't care. So we just don't give him the variance and he leaves his chicken coop as it is. Is there an issue with that?
Technically, he has a structure inside the setback, and technically, we should go down and ask him to move said structure from the setback.
Okay, that's technically,
That's technically,
okay.
yeah.
But it's temporary. Is there
There's nothing
something?
temporary, I don't think there's anything temporary about it. It's been there for 18 months.
Oh,
I think, if you want to find a way, I think he's giving you the best way,
they too,
but
Which is,
Put wheels underneath it?
no.
No?
The setbacks that are two front yard setbacks, like right against each other, making it difficult, but. And the house being built up to the setback.
then I would want advice from the attorney on that one, though.
I would say that we would have, then it would qualify for a variance because of the exceptional character of the lot by being on two streets, having a 20-foot setback on both sides makes the entire yard unusable, so that would mean, that would qualify for the exceptional part of the variance, correct?
You could make that.
I would agree with
if you would
that.
like. The
Okay.
commission can make that argument.
yeah.
My only concern there is, I can see if it's, you know, road, going ahead and, you know, giving up the 3 feet. It's just, my only problem is, I know from some past experience, when there's a road, there's other rules and regulations, and I just don't want to go there. 'Cause I'm not sure, because I'm not, can we give setbacks on roadsides for? See, if there was no road there, I would have no objection. But see, if that, let's just say for some reason that road gets widened and there's a stop sign there or something like that and gets paid, but then we've given him the permission, and that's, so I'm worried about that. I just-
So if I understand you, you're concerned about blocking the line of sight
Correct.
later on. and-
Would it be possible to give him permission under a condition that if the road was ever widened,
Correct.
he may be required to remove it?
Correct, that's where I'm leading to. I just don't want to give permission for it there to be forever in case there's some type of development of the road.
Is that then a conditional use permit rather than a variance?
No.
It's not?
It's still giving a variance.
Okay, all right. Jim here, my feeling is I think the justification of the, being the corner lot and the 2 front setbacks is worthwhile. I think we can let it fly on that. And of course, if there are problems at a later time, which I don't see that, I can't imagine why they would widen.
Okay, I gotta watch the
No, anyway, I can't imagine why they would want to widen that street any.
I can't either.
I think we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
So we're going to define 6th Street as his front line?
Just as Ron said, and I think Liz alluded to tactfully, that he has the problem that his lot has 2 front setbacks, and that is a limitation on the use of his lot.
Correct.
That is unique to his lot.
Correct. And sometimes front line can be defined as where your front door's at. And so 6th Street is where your front door's at, correct?
That's his address.
Correct. And so keeping the 20 there and just giving it on his, defining that as a sideline, because that's not where his front door is at. His front line can be defined as where your front door is at. Again, if there's 2 roads.
That's not the way the code interpreted it,
Yeah,
but if you want to give him a variance so that he can have.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah, me
That's what
too.
we can do.
I think we should, grant the variance based on the unusual circumstances of 2 front streets, and give him the setback variance.
Madam Chair,
I agree with that.
yeah, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the variance for, we should have done this first before we start talking about it, for Ron Hall's, a variance for Ron Hall to not have to remove his chicken coops.
I'll second it, this Mike.
Anybody, everybody favor?
Well, now we have to go through.
We have to do discussion.
Wait, are we, okay.
Yeah, we've already.
Do we have a motion?
We should have done that before we
Yes,
discussed.
we have a motion on the
That was a
floor.
motion after the fact.
Okay, so now we need to go to number 1.
Yeah, we had the discussion now, now we're going to number
Okay.
1 first.
Okay,
Okay.
the request, number 1, is consideration with the state purpose of the variance permit. We don't, none of us have that thing, we found
Oh,
it.
this thing? Do you want
None
that
of
thing?
us, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
We were using the BEVs, we did find out that we didn't have it.
Yeah, it's right there. Give him something.
You just flushed it away.
There is an exceptional physical circumstance or condition applicable to the property or its intended use or development which do not generally apply to the other properties in the same zone.
Okay,
I think that's where we would insert the
The vote
the
of
corner,
this.
the corner, we have to put something in there that we can vote on, and that would be
Right.
the fact that that is a corner lot and that he has
2
2 20-foot setbacks.
front
2
setbacks.
front setbacks.
Liz, are you writing that down?
I am.
That's all I want.
and we can just vote on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to basically give him the variance just on the one street, not on both?
On the particular structure.
As built.
Correct.
Also, in addition to the setback, there's also the maximum buildable area.
Is he over 35%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so the chicken coop is what pushes them over that 35%. So if you're going to allow the variance and allow the coop, then also allow for greater than 35% coverage on the lot.
So we can amend this to also the fact that the coop is mobile. Will that add any credence to it?
I don't think so.
Okay, it's still
Personally.
there.
I mean,
It still occupies, whether it moves or not. Okay,
Yeah.
it's still 35%, all right.
Go ahead, Mr.
Comment. Never heard of this percentage thing. It should be put out there so everybody knows about it. I mean, it surprises me how you're only limited to
Well,
do. I wouldn't have done some things if I hadn't.
yeah, you would have found that out if you'd went in for a building permit, but that's how it works.
Thank you, Jim. So we need to have two separate votes or put that in?
I would just put it together.
Yeah, put it together.
And what my next concern is, if he's going over the percentage, no, I'm not gonna go there.
It's just about, it's under 150 square feet. It's a pretty small amount over the maximum.
What's the dimensions of the coop itself? Is that on here?
Yeah, there's a photograph of it, or a drawing.
Okay, well, the coop itself
And then the run is
is,
covered.
yeah, if you take it totally, but 8 by 8 is under the square footage that's required for, well, it still covers lot coverage, doesn't it? Yeah, it doesn't need a permit, but it needs lot coverage. Okay, never mind.
That's why I said I wasn't going there.
Yeah, I didn't go there either.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we put under number 1, findings of fact. The decisions for the finding of fact is that he has extenuating circumstances because he has 2 front yard setbacks, and that he is just a minor amount over the 35% coverage of his lot, and it's no big deal.
I particularly like the no big deal part.
I'll second it, this Mike.
Everybody in favor, please give your name.
Mike, aye.
Aye.
Jim, aye.
Donna, yes.
Dave, aye.
Anybody opposed?
And,
Okay, question number 2. Dave, please read it.
okay, that the strict applications of the provisions of this title will result in practical difficulties or unnecessary pecuniary hardships. And the decision to make this finding is based upon the following facts. Okay, that's your guys' cue to say something.
This is Mike. Well, there's been no complaints from the neighbors. The coop has been there for 1.5 years, and it seems like the logical thing to do is to grant the variance and let him carry on his chicken business.
Jim?
I would add to there's really no practical alternative for, within the parameters of his lot for locating the structure.
Dave, Chris, any input?
Sounds good to me.
No, it sounds good.
Vote.
Okay, all in, just say,
Chris, are you in favor?
Chris, aye.
Mike, your vote.
Aye. Mike, aye.
Jim, aye.
Donna, yes.
Dave, yes.
Number 3, that granting of the variance will not result in material damage or hardship or prejudice to other properties in the vicinity, nor to be detrimental to the public health or safety or welfare.
I think we could just adapt that language right there.
Yep.
Well, no, not quite.
That's
Okay,
from-
I know that, never
Okay,
mind.
good.
The first sentence anyway.
And what you're saying is,
Yeah.
what he's reading is, the variance will not result in damage or hardship or prejudice to other properties in the vicinity.
Yeah, and I don't think the coop is going to, does any blocking of the sight lines for that intersection. So I don't feel it's a problem at all.
At its spot right now, but
Yeah,
if you moved it to the corner, then could be an issue.
yeah.
So have you voted on this?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay.
Mike, aye.
Chris?
Chris, aye.
Dave?
Dave, aye.
Donna, yes. So congratulations.
Don't have to vote on the whole
Oh, yes, we have to vote on the, I keep forgetting that because it's not on the. What, pardon? One more. It's, okay, Chris, what's your vote on the?
Chris, aye.
Dave, aye.
Mike, aye.
Jim, aye.
Donna, yes.
Done deal.
Congratulations.
Okay, and then,
Thank you.
Liz?
so
Okay.
then you have to do one more. Under,
C?
Like business?
C,
Yes.
unfinished business, and then you're done.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going back and forth between these.
I'm surprised you guys didn't bring up the chicken's hardship, but that's okay.
Well, I was thinking about it. I was gonna say the chicken's got nowhere else to go.
They're happy with it.
I'll be more than the.
Okay. Read C.
Okay, consideration of a request from Mount Hall for a conditional use permit to allow a home occupation at 13 North 6th Street.
And I would say, from staff's perspective, Joe and I both looked at his application. Don't think there's going to be any impact on traffic. Didn't think there was really any issue with really small-scale retail going on there. He has 2 driveways, so he could have off-street parking for anyone who comes by.
A lot.
So,
Unless he turns it into a petting zoo.
yeah, I think, so we really had
That's already-
no objection to the conditional use permit.
He has one that lays a golden one.
Kids in the neighborhood come by to feed them bread all the
They're
time.
not driving yet.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we grant Ron Hall a conditional use permit for a home occupation on 13 North 6th Street.
I'll second this, Chris.
Everybody in favor?
And we can now ask for discussion.
Discussion.
Discussion. Any discussions? Chris, you have any?
Nope.
Mike?
I just think we should do it. I don't think he's going to be able to handle all those eggs unless he can sell them.
Go for it.
Go for it? Okay, so we need to,
Dave, aye.
Chris, aye.
Mike, aye.
Jim, aye.
Donna, yes. So that's all we have to do on that? Is that correct, Liz? We've given him,
Why don't you just give me a few things on how it's suitable in that area, and there won't be any economic or aesthetic effects in nearby
his
properties?
neighbors support it.
Okay.
He's providing a service. Fresh eggs.
Organic produce.
And they're good.
Yep. And fertilizer. Any other input? Any input from you, Jim? Chris, you have any input there?
Nope, nope, I'm good.
Is that good enough, Liz?
And there's adequate off-street parking.
Correct.
Mhm.
Low level of retail sales,
There's very low impact.
no impact. Okay, and no complaints from neighbors. Okay. I think that's pretty good.
We can move on now?
Yes.
Any new business? Did anybody do their suggested homework of 5? That, what do you call it, Dan? Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Do you remember last time we were suggested to have 5 suggestions for new business?
Oh, thank you, Donna. I forgot about that, actually.
Yeah, it was a suggestion. I just wanted to know if anybody did it. Okay, we can
Would you like me to put that on a future
Frankly, I
agenda?
find it
Yes.
outside the responsibilities of the commission.
Okay. Well, I think it was because it was for the, go ahead, Liz.
No, go ahead, finish your discussion.
Go ahead.
He had it in there because we're talking about the one that
Yeah.
So I heard yes, put it on the agenda, and no, put it
For
on the
comprehensive plan?
Yeah.
It was pertaining to, I think how he put it together was, it was pertaining to the economic portion of the comprehensive plan, and I asked you if that was part of our responsibility, and
The comprehensive plan is.
I think we can put feedback into the consulting team, but I don't know if that's really something we should be doing at our regular meetings. But if it's something that people want on the commission would like to do, I think that the consulting team would be interested in hearing from us.
so do you want Liz to put that on the list, or do you agree with Jim that it's basically?
I think if anybody wants to, that they can contact the consulting team directly. I don't think it needs to be on our agenda.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I agree too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to leave him out just because he wasn't here.
No, thank you.
Okay,
Everybody knows who show up.
what's that?
No.
Okay, any discussions on any of the items?
The only thing that I'd like to bring up to the commission is that we had quite a bit of discussion when the consultant was in town about doing something in the comprehensive plan dealing outside of Service Area 1, whether it's identify their perception
Land use, yeah.
land use outside of Service Area 1. And that we had quite a bit of discussion about that with the consultant. So I just wanted to inform you, and they seem to think, their comment was, we've been down this road before, we've seen this happen before, and yes, it's a good idea, because the land use planning that the consultant's putting together is not something that's going to happen in 5 years, but it's a plan for 20 to 50 years out. And that's why I felt, at least my personal comments were, that it was necessary to identify land uses outside of Service Area 1.
Is that for the land selection committee also?
No.
Go ahead.
Madam Chair, this is Mike. I think I agree with Dave, but would we want to go as far as to venture into zoning?
If you read the charter, it says in the charter that planning is part of doing the comprehensive plan, but it does not talk about zoning. And I think you get a lot of pushback if you went to the point of zoning. I think maybe identifying areas in a planning standpoint for potential future zoning, and at least getting people out there talking about it, would be an acceptable solution. But I think going to the point of stating we're going to go into zoning right now, it might not be a good choice.
Liz?
I was going to say, the comprehensive plan does not, in and of itself, do zoning.
Correct.
So
Right.
that would not be
It says-
something
it says in the comprehensive plan, we
that's not
said the
something
charter
that we
that you
would
do
do as
planning.
part of the comprehensive
Say zoning.
plan anyway. So if it was going to happen, it would have to happen after we designated land uses, and then the assembly and the planning commission would have to do, go through the whole motion of actually implementing zoning out there. So I just don't want people to get confused that somehow comp plan land use equals zoning, because it doesn't.
Liz, question. One of the things that, you don't have to have service areas to have zoning, correct?
Correct.
As I understand it, the borough has the authority granted to it by the state to do land use, including zoning outside of Service Area 1. But the way the charter is written and what people are interpreting the spirit of the charter to say is that, and again, subject to interpretation, that the zoning wouldn't have happened until after a service area was formed.
So
That's how I understand it.
That's what I understand.
The charter is very vague on that. There's no direct mention of zoning in the charter. but it says that planning is part of doing the comprehensive plan, but it doesn't mention zoning at all, but then it says when you get to code enforcement, that's under forming of service areas.
You lost me towards the end there. Well, I guess what I was trying to say, and I had it envisioned, is just like what the state did. It did arbitrary boundaries for unorganized boroughs, for where the area affected itself. And I guess what I was coming to starting, what you were talking, land uses, is us as planning and zoning, let's just pretend this is the map. And there are community areas that are connected, and you just draw a line, let people make comments at it, that's a service area. We're not making rules, we're not making uses, but it gives people a small community of the sense of, if they say this area does want planning and zoning, or say so of their land use. But at the whole, we still have say so as the borough, that's, but that's not, no zoning there, correct? We don't have to have zoning.
The charter does say that the planning commission has say-so over subdivisions and things of that nature outside of service area 1. That's a general power that's granted within the whole borough. So we do have say-so over subdivisions and things of that nature.
Thank you. Chris, Mike, what were you going to say?
I agree with that, and the reason I brought that up is because if there is to be subdivisions outside of service area 1, then I think that it's important that we weigh in as far as how that's going to be zoned, so we don't run into the problem that we have up, with what we're dealing with now. We want to make sure that it's done, at least we can weigh in on any kind of subdivisions that are going to be residential or for whatever use.
Yeah, I think also part of that is keeping in mind the lot size when you get outside of an area where you have a lot of services available, such as sewer and water and such, that lot size should be kept to a larger size to allow more buffer zone to neighbors, number one. Number two, to allow more proper, disposal for the septic system and things of that nature. So.
Madam Chair, I think a good example of my concern is the subdivision that Mental Health has recently done out at Papke's Landing. Investigation of those lots is the lot sizes are way too small. They didn't do any on-the-ground identification of the issues of building on those lots, access to those lots. They didn't leave enough land. Those lots are too small under regulations that anybody has in any city in the free world for constructing what they're trying to do.
Dave, when were those subdivided?
Within the last year.
Okay, because I think it was in September 1999 that the state did a blanket thing through the whole state, and I know a lot of subdivisions aren't listening to it about the size for department.
Right, so that's my concern.
So they were in violation with the state, as far as
Well, my understanding is yes, that they were in violation the way that they did that subdivision, but I'm not a lawyer. And it just seems to me that that's the type of situation that I'm talking about by having proper planning, that the consultants, while they're here, it's easier for them to identify areas of existing residential development outside of service area 1. And they seem to be quite willing and capable of.
But they did that within the last year, you're saying?
No, I'm talking to consultants. We can't do what's been done. I'm talking about what we can do going forward here with the.
To make sure mental health doesn't divide up more of the land that they have into these tiny lots that really are not adequate to support development.
Correct. So Liz, is mental health or state or anything like that, if they, or anybody, are they required to notify the borough since they're within the borough's boundaries?
I don't know. I haven't received anything, and our subdivision ordinance is limited to service area 1. We might have authority outside of service area 1, but the ordinance.
Under the charter, we have the right to do something, but I don't think there's anything written in ordinance at this time.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main reasons why I would like the consultants to address this, so that we can proactively as a community, because there is a whole lot of private land, large blocks of private land held by the university and mental health that's outside the service area 1.
Either
Yes.
Yeah.
If we want to have, because that's just, we're just being proactive to make sure that if there is large subdivisions out there, that they at least make sense.
So, excuse me.
Yeah.
So what avenue do we have to go to present something like that, or to?
Let me check with the attorney as far as the conflict there between,
Or
if
does
we-
something have to be added to the charter to do that without?
Well, obviously, there's a conflict between what the charter says, the planning commission's authority is, and then the ordinance being related to service area 1. And I don't know if the assembly has to say, okay, now we're going to apply the subdivision ordinance borough-wide, and that's what we do, or some version of that. I'd have to check in and see, and I can let you know.
But if we did do that, we need to make sure the public understands we're not going out and zoning everybody. It's just pertaining to subdivision. It's a protection for them themselves. Because a lot of people outside service area are more afraid of zoning, so we need to make sure that we move this forward where it's educational, where it's saving and preserving what they have, not putting rules on them.
Well, and I'll have to look too on the current zoning ordinance, whether that requires like a designated use or not. So we might have to look at what's in the zoning the subdivision ordinance now.
The current subdivision ordinance, the service area 1, is quite strenuous. I mean, it requires you to put in utilities, certain type of roads and everything like that. That might not be as applicable out in past service area 1. So I would assume that at some future point that you have to address that. You couldn't just say, oh, we're going to...
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to make sure that there is adequate amount of land to be able to do on-site septic or advanced treatment system on-site water collection, so they can do something there. And that doesn't necessarily require that they be on-grid for power. So it's just there has to be some thought put into it to allow that we're not creating a problem for ourselves down the road.
Well, I would say there have been subdivisions created under the ordinance that weren't anywhere near power and water,
Yeah.
and they were still subdivided. So there's certainly, apparently, I'll have to look at the ordinance again, exceptions for those types of cases, and whether we need to, make some changes for dealing with outside service area 1, or whether there's enough exceptions to deal with specific conditions in the existing ordinance. I have to look at it further and see.
Liz, I don't remember the exact date. I think it was September or August 1999. The state even put it in the legals here in Petersburg's newspaper and through the whole state about size of subdivision lots, and had to be a certain size because it was pertaining to sewage to the whole state. Areas that were not in cities or boroughs, outside, unorganized. It was either in 98 or 99. I'm just trying to remember what I was doing at the time. It was just, because I remember it was in the fall, so I'd look that up.
Okay.
Because that means if it's true, they're in violation, because there was something there, because I wanted to divide property and do a subdivision, and a lot of people were hurrying up around here in Petersburg, were dividing their properties like crazy on Kupernoff and everywhere before that date. So, any other discussion?
Can I make a motion?
Nope.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Have a good ferry ride.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, you guys, for bearing with me, even if I forgot my reading classes, Dave. Thanks for reading for me.
Enjoy your ferry. There won't be too many more of them.